Good morning, VC. Chris Profi, musically obsessed. Today, I'm going to jump on the 10 album link challenge that was started by James Griffith. So thank you to James Griffith for this great idea. If you have not checked out his channel, definitely head on over there and check that out. The last one of these challenges that I watched was Randall Weaver. He did an awesome job. So let's see. I figured I'd try my hand at it. Let me have one more sip of coffee, though. It's one of those mornings. All right, so here we go. 10 album link challenge. What you basically have to do is start with one album, link it to a total of 10 albums, and then go back and link it to your original album. Yeah, did that make sense? Well, let's see. Let's try it. Okay, so I'm starting with the Beatles. This is for Rachel Music Ma'am. See, Rachel? I like the Beatles too. No, the only reason I'm saying that, Rachel is a huge Beatles fan, and she usually links everything to the Beatles, which is so cool. So I'm, in tribute to Rachel, I am starting with the Beatles Magical Mystery Tour, which is actually one of my favorite albums by them. So this is my first album. Now, the Beatles were a huge influence on Kiss. And Gene Simmons and Peter, Chris, and Ace, and Paul will all tell you that the Beatles were a huge influence on them. This is Kiss's first album, of course. Okay. And we all know that the bass player, the Demon, was Gene Simmons. So, Gene Simmons, this is his solo album. He was the bassist in Kiss. Okay. Real good solo album. This is one of the 4 solo albums that came out on the Casablanca label. And an interesting fact about Gene Simmons is while he was in Kiss, he was also producing albums. And he actually produced an album for a band called House of Lords. He was the executive producer. He actually had his own record label, Simmons Records. And look at that, it's a money bag. Isn't that perfect for Gene? House of Lords is great if you've never heard of them. This album came out in '88, I want to say. Real good stuff. I would call it majestic rock. Majestic hard rock. Real good stuff. Now, here's where it gets interesting. House of Lords was a band that was formed in Connecticut. Well, another band that was formed in Connecticut was Fate's Warning. This is their album, No Exit, from '88 as well. Now, if you don't know about Fate's Warning is a prog metal band. So I linked them to Dream Theater, who is also a prog metal band. And this is their album, The Astonishing, which came out in 2016. Double CD set. Okay. Now, this album by Dream Theater, like many of their albums, is a concept record. So I linked the concept idea to Frank Sinatra, Watertown. If I can, I always try to find some way to include this album. This is a great album. This actually is my favorite Frank Sinatra album. This is a concept record, as is The Astonishing by Dream Theater. Great album. This came out in the late 70s, and I've talked about this album before. It's just an awesome concept record. This was, all these songs were written by Bob Gaudio, specifically for Frank Sinatra. And if you've never heard this album, you got to give it a spin, okay? So, this album came out in 1970. Actually, not the late 70s, 1970 to be precise. Now, I'm going to link that date to another album. This is another album I love to show, too. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. This happens to be my favorite Johnny Cash record. And this came out in 1970 as well. And if you're a Johnny Cash fan, or a fan of traditional country and you've never listened to this album, definitely check it out. This is a folk country album. It's awesome. So this album came out in 1970. There is a song on here called See Ruby Fall. See Ruby Fall was co-written with Roy Orbison, okay? So that led me to, of course, Roy Orbison, okay? And this was his album King of Hearts, which came out in 92. Great album. Well, Roy Orbison did a cover of a song called Cryin' Time, which was originally written by Buck Owens. Can you see where I'm going with this? Buck Owens was known for singing a very huge hit called Act Naturally. Well, you know what? You know which band covered Act Naturally? That's right, the Beatles. So that leads me back to the Beatles. And Act Naturally was a single that the Beatles released. Ringo Starr sang on it. And I believe that there's also a version with Buck and Ringo singing Act Naturally. So that's my 10 album link challenge. Hopefully I did it correctly. I'd love to know what you guys think. And I'm going to try to watch some more of those because they're real cool. It's a great way to kind of get exposed to new music. But also, it's sort of that like 10 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing. Like it seems like every album could be linked in some sort of way. It's a cool idea. So thank you to James Griffith. Listen, enjoy the rest of your day. And you know what you should listen to today? I think you should listen to Fate's Warning. I think I might listen to them today too. Need more coffee though. All right, guys. Talk to you later.